Hey, how's everybody doing today? This is the magnificent MagMongoSlade. Friends, relatives, countrymen, and foreign dignitaries all. How is everybody doing this Sunday? So, your boy Jonathan Majors, King the Conqueror, got arrested. And under normal circumstances, I wouldn't talk about this. Wouldn't even care about it, really. But it was interesting to me as I listened to him just days before lecture men on what masculinity is. And I looked at some interviews because I wanted to know more about this actual story that of him getting arrested. And we find that he actually uh, had uh, he had called a trio of characters that he played the antidote to toxic masculinity. Now, of course, this made him the belle of the ball when it comes to Hollywood. You know, he put on this pink overcoat and these high boots. What was supposed to be an anime cosplay thing that he was doing. But the Root, oh, they wrote the most glorious piece on him, written by a feminist of all things. You know, when a feminist is actually giving a black man credit that he's not doing anything that other black men will like. I can tell you that. I can promise you that if you're doing something that a black male feminist actually agrees with, or a black female feminist actually agrees with, oh, you're not doing anything right. You're not doing anything right. But we're going to talk about it. So we're going to talk a little bit about your boy, your guy, Jonathan Majors. We're going to go through the story a little bit. And as usual on this channel, you guys know me. Just because I, feel a certain way about a guy doesn't mean I just believe everything that people say about him. But there's been a lot of stuff that's come out about this guy in the last couple of hours. But to me, just me, I'm just saying, innocent until proven guilty. Always. Always innocent until proven guilty. Even if I don't like you, innocent until proven guilty. Um, it's an interesting piece of business. And we're going to do some masculine psychology stuff today. So that means we're going to go through some other subjects, of course, but we're going to do some of my favorite stuff. We're going to go through a little bit of masculine psychology. We're going to read some Jack Donovan. And then we'll get into some of our other subjects after we listen to Jonathan Majors lecture us about what masculinity is and go through his unfortunate situation here where he's been arrested for domestic violence. What's the question, Top Dog? And thank you for showing up. We will be going through this. Let's see here as I try to load up the first article that I need to go through. Let's see. Are you guys? What's up? We gotta. I'm trying to get in bed, so get your question out quick. All right. Let's see here. I'm trying to find one that is about the arrest and not, one that claims that he's innocent, because we know that he's innocent until proven guilty. But the original stories were pretty nutty. It was pretty nutty. So let's get into this almost immediately. So Jonathan Majors is arrested. TMZ put out the story, arrested in New York City for assaulting woman. His representative says he's done nothing wrong. It's from March 25th, 2023. 5:03 a.m. Pacific time, a judge released Majors without bail. Oh, this is the update. We'll get to the story in a minute. We'll get to the update in a minute. It says Jonathan Majors was arrested in New York City this weekend, and according to police, he's being accused of putting hands on a woman. But John's team is calling BS. Law enforcement sources tell us the actor was booked Saturday morning on charges of strangulation, assault, and harassment. We're told cops responded to a call for service around 11 a.m. near the Chelsea neighborhood in Manhattan. We're, excuse me, we're told the alleged victim in this case, a female, relayed to the police that Majors had gotten into a dispute with her and proceeded to attack her. Their exact relationship is unknown. One source tells us the alleged victim had visible injuries, including a laceration behind her ear, redness, and marks to her face. She was taken to an area hospital and is in stable condition. As for Majors, he was cuffed and taken to the jail on the spot, as police felt that there was enough evidence for probable cause. We're hearing he is currently out of custody. So it says the Matrix is a huge celeb these days. He's been in everything from Marvel's latest Ant-Man movie to Michael B. Jordan's Creed 3 and other blockbusters as well over the past couple of years. The guy has gotten rave reviews for his performances and is seen as a rising star, etc., etc. We're not going to go into the fluff pieces. So what we're looking at here is that Jonathan Majors was the new it guy for Hollywood. He was going to be the one, all right? They had already put him on the cover of magazines. He was already doing all of the toxic masculinity is bad, personless lips on TV, all this kind of stuff. He was supposed to be the guy. He was supposed to lead black men away from their toxically masculine way of living towards a more soft masculinity. You know, I'm not gonna bore you with all the stuff that I did read, but that was one of the pieces that I read is that Jonathan Majors plays soft masculine characters. You know, not like the hard masculine characters like I don't know what Rambo. You think that he created this whole soft masculinity thing? Like, what the hell is this guy talking about? All right, let's go into another one of these stories. This one is from the Rolling Stone magazine, which shouldn't be trusted because Rolling Stone is full of shit. But let's go through it. It says the victim informed police she was assaulted. A spokesperson for the New York Police Department said in a statement, officers placed a 33-year-old male into custody without incident. The victim sustained minor injuries to her head and neck and was removed to an area hospital in stable condition. This means the police saw the injuries, and that's why he was arrested. A rep for Majors tells Rolling Stone via email he has done nothing wrong. We look forward to clearing his name and clearing this up. In a statement Sunday to Rolling Stone, lawyer Priya Chaudhuri said, quote, Jonathan Majors is completely innocent and is probably the victim of an altercation with a woman he knows. We are quickly gathering and presenting evidence to the district attorney with the expectation that all charges will be dropped imminently. The evidence includes video footage from the vehicle where the episode took place, witness testimony from the driver and others who saw and heard the episode, and most importantly, 2 written statements from the woman recanting these allegations. All the evidence proves that Mr. Majors is entirely innocent and did not assault her whatsoever. Unfortunately, this incident came about because this woman was having an emotional crisis, for which she was taken to a hospital yesterday. The NYPD is required to make an arrest in these situations, and this is the only reason Mr. Majors was arrested. We expect these charges to be dropped soon. So she's having an emotional outburst, and he gets arrested. Does that sound like a fair law to you? Does that sound like a law that should be followed? Is that, well, somebody's got to go to jail, damn it. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Get your tiger by. No, that doesn't sound like a fair law to me. Somebody got to go to jail, goddamn it. I'm here, so somebody got to go. Now here's the kicker. Let's do his masculinity thing first before I continue with the other allegations against him. And yes, there are other allegations made against him too. But let's do his masculinity thing first, because I do want to get into this. And this ought to be fun. So he did an interview, Jonathan Majors did, with some black woman. I don't know who she is. In which they're going to it's for NPR. In which they're going to discuss masculinity. And he's going to define what masculinity is to him. Okay, this ought to be interesting then, huh?
Masculinity, this idea of what that encompasses, right? And I think that you probably are not aware of this, but a few days ago you were trending on Twitter. Yep. Some people didn't like that you were wearing pink and ebony, and they felt like it wasn't masculine enough. I know that you have said that you look at a lot of your roles, like be it Atticus Finch and Lovecraft Country, as an antidote to like a limited way of thinking about masculinity. What do you say to those? I mean, I think they're haters. I think it's toxic.
Well, yeah, I imagine it's the homies, right?
It's one of the homies who was like, it's they, you know.
To meet the fellas, you know what I mean?
I think they, you think they would want to meet you though? Because they might have to.
I don't even take it there. You know what I mean? I would just like to, I'd just be curious. You know,
what they have to say.
Tell me what masculinity is.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Tell you what masculinity is. We're going to be discussing that a little bit later. I'm going to discuss it a little bit later. But I'm going to say straight up, I don't think there's much wrong with what he's about to say. If you haven't heard this clip before, he's about to actually not bury us too much. He's not about to say anything that's going to be too offensive. All right. So hopefully nobody gets too upset about what he's about to say.
It is fluid. Yeah. You know, you tell me what it is.
Well, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one. Masculinity is fluid. It's like, it could be this, but it's also that. It's like, I don't know. I don't know about that.
I wouldn't want to walk up on me in the street. You know what I mean? Like just 110%. You know what I mean? Like, but it's bigger than that. It's love. You know, it's like, maybe there's fear in that. Maybe it makes you fearful. It's tough because the conversations you would have man to man, you know what I mean? This conversation you would have, you know.
Twitter.
Yeah.
But what do you think masculinity, like, what is your definition of masculinity?
It's balanced, isn't it? There's strength, right? And there's vulnerability. There's awareness, and then there's acknowledgement of ignorance. A big part of it is kindness, right? Use of power.
Yeah.
Gentleness. These are masculine characteristics.
Yes.
It's quite unmasculine to try to emasculate another man.
Absolutely.
I'm not coming for nobody, but kindness is a big part of it. Doesn't matter, you know, how much you weigh or how much you bench press. That's not the point. You know what I mean? It's none of that. You know, it's an energy. It's an energy. You know what I mean? And I hear my brothers. We fight and claw for every inch of positive popularity we get.
So now I don't necessarily disagree with what he said. You know, kindness, however, comes from strength. Only strong people can truly be kind. You know, this is I think I played the Jordan Peterson clip on this channel before already about weak men, you know, and how weak men are dangerous. I think I played that clip before. I don't have it queued up right now. Let's see if I can find it. But yeah, I agree with him. You have to be strong in order to be kind. You know, and I don't know what it has to do with, you know, vulnerability, because everybody's vulnerable. You know, I don't understand that. You know, like that's not into my lizard brain. I'm not getting that part. You know, but there's nothing, you know, nothing that I can say is a surprise here. He was being put on Front Street in Hollywood because he was willing to say all the right things and do all the right things. You know, everything that he said and did was about playing the role. And when you're in Hollywood, you play the role not just on the screen, but also in interviews. You're literally in character all the time. You know, you come up with these pithy sayings like it's unmasculine to try to emasculate another man. It's like you did that to yourself. You're the one put the pink cape on. You're the one put the high boots on. You're the one that surrounded yourself in flowers. You did that. You're the one who, or you let somebody talk you into doing that. That got nothing to do with us. As he says, the fellas. It got nothing to do with the fellas. So, as per the usual, this guy was not the person that everybody thought he was. Not long after he was arrested, another article popped up. Quote, Avengers 5 lead actor accused of vicious abusive behaviors by directors following arrest. So this was before he was even convicted of anything. People that just decided they was going to dogpile on him. They're going to go scorched earth on Jonathan Majors. They're going to ruin his career. They're going to ruin his life. All right. So it says, following Jonathan Majors' arrest on Saturday, the actor received major backlash online, being labeled, among other things, a vicious, cruel, abusive human being. The Kang actor, vehemently praised for his performance in Marvel's Ant-Man, yada, 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 was arrested in New York City for allegedly physically assaulting his girlfriend. Majors and his representative claim he is innocent and the actor currently is out of custody. With the news, though, Twitter users began to speak out against Majors. Then it says, as news of Jonathan Majors' arrest broke, Twitter users began making their perspectives known about the Avengers 5 actor. Back in February, filmmaker A.B. Allen tweeted about a, quote, beloved actor who in actuality is a vicious, cruel, abusive human being. It says, there's a particular actor relatively new to the scene who Twitter has violently fallen head over heels for, who in actuality is a vicious, cruel, abusive human being, both professionally and in his personal life, and every new viral thirst tweet about him drives me insane. Following the news of Major's arrest, a user tweeted out, now we know who this tweet is about. With a screenshot of A.B. Allen's previous post, Allen then responded, ding, 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 ding. When pressed on why the user now will not share more, despite the public at large seemingly seeing evidence of what has been posted, A.B. Allen explained that, quote, would still expose people who have been hurt. The specifics of what I know, unfortunately, would still expose people who have been hurt and deserve not to be part of some larger media inquiry if they don't want to. So I'm not going to get into the details. But now y'all know who the deal is. So, continuing the article. Society Theater co-founder and Broadway actor Tim Nicolai offers support on Twitter in posts that have been made private, sharing that, quote, it's strangely a relief to know other humans out there understand. Nicolai continues saying that many in Yale and New York City communities, later specified to be 2012 to 2017 graduates from NYU, Juilliard, and Yale, considered the actor, quote, a psychopath or sociopath and an abuser. Quote, I'm just going to say that Jonathan Majors and be done with it. Folks at Yale and the broader New York City community have known about him for years. He's a sociopath and abuser. That is how virtually everyone speaks about him. It's a shame it took this long for him to be reported. In response to comments about why it seems people kept quiet if they knew about this, Nicolai explained, quote, people have tried. It's both simultaneously awful to know he's still doing this and also a relief that he may never get a chance to do it again. Quote, I'm already seeing a bunch of people saying, why didn't you say anything? Folks, people have tried, ultimately needed a victim to come forward. It's both simultaneously awful to know he's still doing this and a relief that he may still never get to do it again. Quote, a bunch of us are close with people and sometimes multiple people he has directly harmed. I don't know if they will speak on it. It is completely their decision. Nicolai explains, quote, if casting directors like you, that's the currency. But nobody will call his ex's girlfriends at the time directors, professors. They just don't do that. The actor went on to share, quote, people, literally people, Jonathan Majors, did this to, are texting me right now. It's not, I heard. So, masculinity is all about kindness. And all, look, I'm not saying I believe this stuff. Because, look, the media, they do this. You know, you get arrested for one thing, all of a sudden it becomes 2, 3 things, 4, 5, 6 things. And next thing you know, you're buried. And they're trying to bury this guy. You know, this came out quick. It happened that fast. He got arrested, and then all of a sudden, he was a known abuser all up and through New York City. It's like, oh, how is that? How is that possible? How is that possible? It's it's really strange. Let us remember our Jack Donovan. Masculinity is a lifelong struggle, a gauntlet run against nature and other men to demonstrate virility and prove one's worthiness as a man in the eyes of other men. Masculinity is a challenge to honor that ends only in death, a challenge to win coupled with a guarantee that eventually even the best men will lose. Every boy is cursed, every boy will be tried and measured against others, and as soon as he perceives or understands instinctively, he soon knows that the way of men is the way of competition and strife. The way to manhood is through the gauntlet, and there is no end to it. Manhood is not a destination, but a title to be defended. The idea that a man should be, quote, secure in his masculinity is a bourgeoisie fantasy invented by therapists and repeated by women. Every king, every chief, every world record holder, every silverback gorilla looks over his shoulder. Being good at being a man just means the challenges get dialed up and the challenges become more formidable. The gauntlet must be run whether the boy likes it or not, whether he accepts it or rejects it. To reject the struggle is forfeiture. Avoiding the struggle is an acceptance of defeat and a demonstration of spiritual cowardice. Strength can only be tested against resistance, and courage can only be tested through risk. Competence matters most when it is most desperately needed. In other words, when they ask you to put on the dress, that's you being tested. Are you going to say yes or are you going to say no? You going to put the dress on or not? You put the dress on, you're showing that you're one of them. You're pliable. Your masculinity is fluid, bro. It's all about all these, soft, feminine things like kindness and gentleness, bro. It's like, how about, you have some kind of character. Now, later in other books, or either later in that same book or maybe in another book, Jack Donovan talks about why this is important. That in societies, men need to be able to rely on each other. And a weak man cannot be relied on. A weak man or a cowardly man cannot be relied on. Whenever a man comes out there and he's denigrating masculinity, denigrating other men, talking about toxic masculinity and all this other shit, to say that I'm not coming for the brothers, it's like, yes, you are. Otherwise, you would just say, man, I'm just doing me. You coming out there like, I'm trying to counteract all these negative toxic masculinity traits. It's like, nah, you can't have it both ways, man. Either you're not coming for nobody, which is, lipstick alley language, by the way. It's not, you're not trying to test people. That's me a better way of putting it. Or you are. You're trying to see if people are going to, you let these people dress you up and put you out there like a chump. And they still turned on you. Soon as you got into some trouble, they still turned on you. You put on pink. You went out there and argued against toxic masculinity. And they still turned on you. They still wrote articles about how you are a known abuser through fucking gossip. What I just read before the Jack Donovan quotes was nothing but goddamn gossip. It was gossip. Oh, everybody knows he's an abuser, but nobody's willing to say anything. It's like, what's this high school shit? And why does this keep happening? Why does every time a man is about to make, break through in his life, he gets lambasted with he's a known abuser, a known rapist, a known drunk, a known this, a known that? It's like, where did all these people come from? Where did all these people come from all of a sudden? Where were you when he was making TV shows? Oh, they just weren't trying to hear it. Now they're willing to listen. It's like, oh, okay. Okay. That's the game, though. The game is to be what Hollywood needs you to be. You gotta be what Hollywood wants you to be. Hollywood wanted him to be the antidote to toxic masculinity. And then he got arrested. Then he became everything that he was supposed to be arguing against, whether it's true or not. I've seen enough rappers and actors or whatever get taken out by this kind of stuff. Sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. I hope it's not true. I hope it's not true. Because I want him to see that the game he's been playing, or how he's been all hugged up with Michael B. Jordan and putting his arms around guys and hanging all over them and everything, trying to prove that he's safe. He's a safe Negro. It didn't matter what you was trying to prove. The moment you dropped your guard, they came for that neck. And it was what they're going to replace you. Now, it's a running joke online that, what about Ezra Miller? He did all. I'm like, don't even worry about Ezra Miller. Ezra Miller forfeited his masculinity. Ezra Miller is a they them. There's no rules for the they thems because they've never existed before. So now they're playing in a gray area where you're not sure if this guy's masculine or feminine or what the expectations of a they them should be. Because apparently if you can flout biology, you can flout any rule, any man-made rule. None of that stuff matters. If biology doesn't matter, then gravity doesn't matter. Then none of the man-made rules matter. And then you get the +1 of being a they them, So now it's like we had a they them Flash. We can't get rid of him. So don't even add. Don't try to. This is not a 1-to-1 apples and oranges thing. Jonathan Majors is a brother. He wanted to be a man. He wanted to be the kind of man Hollywood wanted him to be. Ezra Miller didn't want to be a man. Ezra Miller wanted to be a they them. So it's under completely different circumstances. They thems don't have rules. Men have rules. Men are supposed to be held to principles. They thems don't. We don't know what the rules are for they thems. We're trying to find a way to figure out that. Okay? That's why so many people are so against it. It's never existed in history before. Literally just made up out of whole cloth out of thin air. They thems could kidnap children and disappear and not get arrested. For somehow didn't get the book thrown at them. That's just, it is what it is. It's a new world. But Jonathan Majors wanted to be a man. And when you say you're a man, well, buddy, get ready for your masculinity challenge. How about that? How about that? And even if you claim, well, my masculinity is all about kindness and gentleness. Oh, really? Is that so? It's all about kindness and gentleness, acknowledgement of ignorance. It's not about how much you can bench press. Nobody said it was. Nobody said it was about bench press. Nobody said it was about guns. Nobody said it was about violence or power or anything. Nobody said anything about any of that crap. You made it up. You're arguing against a straw man. All you needed to say was, dude, I just do me. I'm not saying what anybody else should be. No, and this is the weird thing, because we have this conversation all the time. We talk about guys like Rick James, guys like Prince, Funkadelic. They were out there in, skin tight jumpsuits, like they look like pro wrestlers. They were in, high boots. Some of them are in diapers on stage and stuff like that. It's real degenerates. Nobody questioned their masculinity, Even though Prince looks like a girl, nobody ever questioned Prince's masculinity, because when pressed, Prince stood up like a man. Prince went out there and challenged Warner Brothers. He changed his name because Warner Brothers owned the intellectual property of it. He learned about he subverted the business. He learned the business and mastered it. He didn't cry on the internet. He didn't start talking about how he was subverting masculinity or subverting toxic masculinity. It wasn't a challenge to anybody else. When somebody tried to force him into a box he didn't want to be in, he reacted like a man should react. He was wearing assless chaps while doing it, but he reacted how a man should react, by standing up for himself, for standing up for what he believed in. which was in himself and his music. When these other guys who call themselves masculine men are challenged in the streets or are challenged by the media, they buckle and fold. It doesn't matter how many, you can be the whatever you consider to be the most masculine guy in the world. You know, shirt ripped up, muscular, whatever. When you go out there and you're whiny and you're talking about Terry Crews, for instance, like when Terry Crews went out there crying about how he got touched by some Hollywood guy. Look, I felt bad for him. I really did. And I even believed him. But the way that we approached that subject was from a feminist perspective. It wasn't from a masculine male perspective. It was about going out there crying and being a victim. That's not what men do. No. I'm sorry. And I don't even dislike Terry Crews. I just don't like how he handled that situation. You know? He went in public and cried. It's like, that's not what... Your children are going to watch that, man. Your children are going to see that. And another man made you cry. I'm sorry, I can't abide that one. Can't abide that one. Leith Elzy, how you doing? Apparently the director A.B. Allen trashing him is also a they them. Well, that wouldn't surprise me at all, because who are the biggest gossips in any gossip circle? The gay men and the women. Gay men and women, they do the most gossiping. So I'm never surprised when I hear a gay man or a they them or something like that is gossiping about somebody behind their back. I'm never surprised by that. Jealousy is a motherfucker, though. How do we know that it's not coming from a place of jealousy? That somebody just isn't just jealous of him, you know? So it's unfortunate. This joint was in the chamber, though. That tells you how cold this business is. This one was in the chamber. They tweeted that out in February. Vague as hell. And then as soon as he gets arrested, yep, it was him. Like, ooh. He didn't see this one coming. He didn't see that one coming. He was still sitting in jail trying to get out, and they already assassinating his character. They didn't shot his character full of fucking holes already. Didn't see that one coming. So let's say he beat the case. If he beat the case, people are still going to look at that article and be like, I knew he was the wrong guy. You know, it's sickening, bro. It's sickening and it's sad. But what can you do, really? When you make the argument that, you know, standing up for yourself or whatever is toxic masculinity or whatever the fuck, how is anybody going to take you seriously? You've already said that, you know, your mask is not about how much you can bench press, not about strength. It's about kindness. Are you going to be kind and forgive all these people who are probably trying to ruin your career? There's so many people sitting around here waiting to assassinate this man's character. And you notice what something else that didn't happen? The woman who going to recant her story. Oh, there's nothing bad going to happen to her. Nothing at all. Nothing. She was having a mental health crisis. That's why I'm like, oh, really? Is that an excuse? It's oh, this story, boy, it boiled my grits. I'm telling you. At first I looked at it and I was like, man, you know what? That's probably some bullshit. You know, and I say that as somebody who don't like this dude, who just thought he was being too weird. He was playing the game. He was doing exactly what Hollywood wanted him to do, saying exactly what they wanted him to say, dressing how he wanted them to dress. And they tried to cut his head off anyway. You know? Lee Thelson says, since he's Marvel's big villain, maybe beating up this woman to get into character. The man was doing some method acting. He needs to break out the time stone or whatever the hell he's going to use to jump across the multiverse. You know, I know a little bit about Kang the Conqueror. I have not seen him as Kang in anything. I have not watched a Marvel anything since Endgame. I have not watched a Marvel TV show. I have not watched any other. Well, I watched Wakanda Forever, so I'm lying. I lied. I lied that fast because I watched Wakanda Forever. But oh yeah, I watched Doctor Strange too. I forgot about it, and I watched Thor. Yeah, so I watched 3 Marvel movies. He wasn't in any of those. So I don't know why. I guess they're like candy. You eat them and forgot you did. It was pleasure for a certain amount of time, and then it was over. But that was it. Being a weak man doesn't get you anywhere. It really doesn't. It just gets you contempt from the other men. It doesn't. It gets you trust from women. But what does that actually do for you? Do you want to read? Do you want to go through a little bit of what this feminist wrote about Jonathan Majors? Yeah, let's do that a little bit. Let's do this a little bit from a woman named Feminista Jones at the Root. It's so pathetic. It's so pathetic. Jonathan Majors is a beautiful black man. This was written February 23rd, so last month. His gorgeous skin, wide nose, full lips, and chiseled physique are enough to make anyone look twice with deep admiration and appreciation. The actor, who has been a rapidly rising star in Hollywood, recently graced the cover of Ebony magazine, which accurately dubbed him Hollywood's most wanted. The images are stunning, but not everyone appreciates their artistry. In fact, several people have taken to social media, such as Candace Owens, to complain about them, claiming the images from the photo shoots are emasculating and effeminate. So she's going to defend. She's calling him a beautiful black man. You're getting tongue baths from the feminists. You're doing something wrong. All right. If a feminist is giving you a tongue bath, you're doing something wrong. As a man, because they hate men. All right. So you're doing something wrong. If you're the man that a feminist likes, you're doing something wrong. It's I'm trying to find some of the choicest, most ridiculous things. It says, quote, in another version, he is plucking petals from one bunch of roses, staring directly into the camera. He exudes a smoldering, sexy confidence and looks just like a man at the top of his game. However, there are some really confused people who think that the pink and red color scheme of the photo shoot, which also includes a cosplay of a popular anime character that she didn't bother to name, by the way, along with the plethora of flowers, is too, quote, feminine, and that there is somehow a mass conspiracy to emasculate the black man. Well, when black men become the face of AIDS, like, have you ever seen an AIDS commercial recently? It's all black dudes. Have you seen the face of the AIDS commercials recently? It's all gay black men. Now, maybe that's the right demographic, because I would imagine it is, and it was in the 80s. I don't know what it is now. But that seems to be the only time you really see black men is when they're gay or something like that on TV. Either they're drug dealers, killers, or homos. That's it. You watch BMF or Power or whatever, either they're drug dealers or they're homos. That's usually it. The women do all the stuff. I was watching, my brother was looking at Power. And the only person who seemed to actually actively do anything on that fucking show was all the women. The women do everything on that show. The guys just stand around shooting each other. What they call bullet bagging. The women run the show. I don't know. AJ3, when will anybody in Hollywood play the game with them and outsmart them like Prince did in the music industry? It's not possible, because they constantly go through these gauntlets of emasculating men. It's what happened to it's what happened to Will Smith. It wasn't when Denzel Washington told Will Smith not to do the gay scene and whatever movie that was. he did it anyway. He did it, and then he hooked up with that girl, Jada Pinkett, and she emasculates him every single day. Got his kids writing love letters to Tupac. Then he did, other gay movies or whatever the hell. Then he ended up in a swingers relationship. It just kept coming because he never said no. He never put his foot down ever. He never stood up for himself. And now he's in the real sunken place. That man is miserable. He's rich. He can, he was trying to put his son is cross-dressing. His daughter is cross-dressing. Like, what's the likelihood that your son and your daughter are both going to be cross-dressing? And it's only the son and the daughter that were raised in Hollywood. The son he had before he got over there don't cross-dress. So funny how that works out. You got a daughter that want to be a boy and a son that want to be a girl, but your oldest kid, who wasn't raised in that Hollywood shit, he's perfectly fine being who he is. Bizarre. Very bizarre. And that happens all the time. You don't have what they call hand. You don't got no hand. You're not in control at all. I think Denzel might be the only one. Not wearing the dress, not playing effeminate characters. And he kind of goes under the radar. He's never been the it guy. He's always been, on the outskirts. He's just been sort of the quietly stable dude. He never even, I don't think Denzel doesn't even really do like CGI or extensive hair pieces and stuff like that. Like Samuel L. Jackson, who we talk about in a minute for this TV show. Sam Jackson is willing to go out there and do just about anything. Now, I've never seen Sam Jackson cross-dress. I've never seen him do that. But we've seen these guys go out there and just play the game when it comes to Hollywood. Leith Elsie said, what was the race of the woman revealed? Because if his girlfriend is a white woman, the sisters will take back every good thing they said about him. I do think that I do think that his girlfriend is white. When it came out that he was arrested for domestic violence, there was pictures of him holding hands with a white woman. Because he was dangling all over Michael B. Jordan and all that kind of stuff, he might just be an affectionate guy and just holds hands with people. I don't know. Or it might have really been his girlfriend. And I'm thinking that his girlfriend is a white girl. That's what I'm thinking. So we'll see if they start taking it back. We'll see if they start, eating those words. TN Pyro says, Will don't deserve sympathy. He did it to himself. They all do. They all do. They all do it to themselves. Because they don't have no control. And sometimes they don't even believe in having control. They think it's an archaic concept. But there's nothing that comes. When Will got embarrassed, absolutely humiliated by Jada Pinkett, he didn't leave. When his daughter wrote a letter to Tupac years before that, and he didn't leave. You're like, there's no bottom. She can do whatever she wants. She can just run all over him. She can do whatever she wants. At that point, bro, he was in the dead zone. It was over. And there are so many people who are in that dead zone. They just don't know how to stop it. Because Hollywood has conditioned them that if you feel embarrassed because your wife was having sex with somebody else, it's because you're not stable in your masculinity or whatever. If your masculinity shouldn't be tied to owning your wife. Your masculinity shouldn't be tied into your wife's fidelity. Your masculinity shouldn't be tied into your children, you raising your children in the path that you want them to go in. Your masculinity should be wear a dress, be frou-frou, be weird. And then if you have weird family members and you have weird stuff happening in your household, well, that's just the weird house you created. That's just a weird house you created, sir. Sorry. But it started with you. It started with you because you didn't set the standard. You gave up the standard. You know? It's very unfortunate. But what could you do about it? Like, really, what could you do? He's in a real bad space. He's in a real bad space. I feel Will is in the worst space ever. But these situations by these guys, it's almost always their own fault because they don't know how to handle these situations. They're constantly told that their instinct to stand up for themselves is wrong. Their instinct to buck back at challenges is wrong. Your instinct to not put yourself in these situations so you can be humiliated, it's wrong. It's like, no, but it's right though. It's right. You know when things are going too far. You know it. Top Dog has a question. Do you think trash TV helped ruin black culture? Well, the issue with black culture in general is going to be a chicken or the egg situation, right? Because what you often deal with is when it comes to rap music, they claim they are a reflection of society. You know, people are just reporting the things that they see. So that means they're not creating things. They're just kind of reporting on things. We drink scissor and Sprite in the hood. So we're gonna rap about drinking scissor and Sprite, right? Then it becomes a big problem, and now you can't get cough syrup and Walgreens anymore because these assholes drinking themselves to death. Same things with movies and TV shows. Are these things a reflection of society, or are they created whole cloth? Well, that's the question. And I think the question is unanswerable. But I can tell you this: everybody is responsible for their own behavior. Everybody is responsible for their own behavior. When you don't take responsibility for yourself, when you allow other people to tell you what you instinctively know is right is wrong, and try to train you to ignore your own emotions, and try to train you to ignore when something is visibly wrong with your surroundings and with your life, then we can have that conversation, you know. But when you wake up as miserable as Will Smith got to wake up every day, I don't see how he can't just get that he was wrong, that he did something wrong, you know, and that he needs to turn it around. Leith Elsie says, since Will Smith always played the cool, suave badass in his movies, I can't watch them anymore because it's just too unbelievable now that I know he's a chump. Yeah. And that's usually how they get you, though. We talked about this when we talked about Fred Williamson, right? Fred Williamson was talking about maintaining an image. That's exactly what he said, right? He wanted to have a certain image of himself on screen, and he acted it out in real life. Even if it meant not taking the roles that he wanted, that Hollywood wanted him to, even if it meant he had to leave Hollywood and make his own movies, he didn't want to play the game. You know, he didn't want to be what Hollywood wanted him to be. These guys do want to be what Hollywood wants them to be. They want to walk the red carpet. That means you got to hobnob with they-thems. What's that weirdo who was on TV recently talking about how drag queens are essential? Who was that guy? He wears a dress sometimes on like the red carpet and stuff. You have to hobnob with people like that. Could you imagine somebody like me from the bricks of Detroit City wanting to hang out with some guy in a dress at a fancy dinner party? Billy Porter, exactly. That's exactly who he is. I have no interest to hang out with Billy Porter. But I'm also not a guy who went to an acting school with a bunch of they-thems. I'm not the guy who went to acting school. And this is what they want. They want you to be soft and safe, you know? To what end? I don't know. But they have no use for you if you're not. And it's real unfortunate that guys choose to play that game. This is a game you can't win because it only goes further and further every time. Next thing you know, you're going to be somebody's bottom bitch in a movie, and everybody's going to be like, he's just acting. But you're going to have to look at yourself in the mirror and know that you was doing that. You know? You gotta be comfortable with yourself in that. Some people aren't. Some guys, that's why, I'll talk about like these child actors like Amanda Bynes and Britney Spears, and so many of them end up with their brains broken when they get older. Because of the stuff they put these people through. It's all mind games. It's not even about physically raping somebody. It's not even about that. It's about putting people in compromising situations so that they have to bend to the will of other people, and either their parents are selling them out or they're too damn weak to stand up for themselves. That's what the Me Too movement was about. Women who fucked for movies. They didn't mind doing it when they did it. But then in their later years, they felt bad about it. And oh my God, he forced me. He didn't really. He didn't really, trust me. You did it because you played the game. That was the game. The casting couch was the game. You played the game. You got the rewards. These guys just play the game. And in the future, they trip out. They spaz out. If they're young enough, they'll break down in their early 20s, early to mid 20s. AJ3 says, have you ever been around or had conversations with any of your patients who told you about the definition of woke? No, because most of the patients, they're not. Well, some of them are politically minded, but they're in psychosis or something like that. So it might be a situation where they're politically focused. Like they may have some kind of Republican focus, like Trump is trying to destroy the earth or some shit like that, or Joe Biden is molesting children or some kind of nonsense like that. But they're typically not about to sit down and discuss the definition of wokeness. They really just want to get out of that building, to be quite honest. They're not interested in politics too much. Some of them are, though. Like some of them are smarter than you give them credit for, but I don't spend enough time with them anymore. Can you imagine getting your brain manipulated for a Nickelodeon or a Disney show? If you're going to engage in something manipulative, at least hold out for better opportunities. Here's the thing, though. Those are the highest honors that you can get as a kid. As a kid actor, getting on a Disney show, oh my God. Somebody should just do a list of like Mickey Mouse kids or whatever that went on to be incredibly special in the entertainment business. That's a great resume builder to be on Nickelodeon or Disney. Now, we know from Master P, they don't get paid a lot of money. We know that. They don't get paid a lot. But the exposure is something else. And because you are in that system as a child, they know that you've already been groomed. And that doesn't necessarily mean sexually groomed. It may also mean that you understand the process. You understand the game. You know what the game is. And that's not always good. It's not always good. That the kid who sang The Lion King is good to be king, I think he probably came out pretty normal because his mom pulled him out of that situation. She didn't keep him in Hollywood forever and ever. She pulled him out every once in a while. But you see too many of these people, man, they get stuck in Hollywood forever and their brains are just broken. They're just useless after a while. And it's sad. And if you see adults, full-grown adults, who changed their, like, look at Madonna. Look at what she did to herself in 30 years. All the facial surgeries make you completely uncomfortable with who you are. That's Hollywood. That's what they do to people, man. Michael Jackson, he was a child star. Look at what he turned into. And I love Michael Jackson. I really do. But the guy had 100 fucking surgeries on his face. He was so worried about how people may look at him if he had vitiligo that he went and bleached his whole face white. His whole face and body. It's strange. But if you have no sense of self because you got brought into Hollywood young, man, shit gonna blow your brains out. And if you're a weak adult, the same thing is gonna happen. You'll get manipulated, you'll get made fun of, and you end up like Will Smith. You end up like Will Smith. Will Smith is more successful than anybody who's ever going to trash talk him. Even including Chris Rock. Far more successful than Chris Rock. But Will Smith he's got his cancer living in his house. And he can't get rid of it. You would think the kids are adults. Now I can finally move on. Nope. He's stuck. Why is he stuck? Because he's mentally stuck. He's not physically stuck. He can leave Jada Pinkett whenever he wants to. And she's going to take half his shit and fuck up his life. So he's stuck. All these people, man, they're in the business for so long, and you start hearing about they got a drug problem, they having surgeries, they're obsessed with the gym, they're obsessed with their looks. It's very few of these people in Hollywood age gracefully and just fade away. That's why I was interested about Joe Pesci, who said, like, I'm getting older, kind of done with these gangster movies, don't really want to do them anymore. I'm out of here. I was like, wow, that's impressive. Because so many people, and he got offers. He was getting offers to continue doing this stuff. And he was like, nah, I'm good. I don't want to do it. WG Phil says, to be fair, the first few surgeries was due to injury during the Triumph tour and the Pepsi commercial. Yeah, that is true. He got burned during the Pepsi commercial. But he had a bunch of nose surgeries. I'm pretty sure his face didn't get burned. He just had, mentally, he was broken. Like, we all blame Joe Jackson, rightfully so, because his dad was abusive as hell and he had childhood trauma. But nobody talks about the trauma he probably had to deal with, in terms of being a child. And how long it takes to record a song? He had to sit there and sing over and over and over and over and over again. Countless hours dancing. It's abusive, That's the thing about socialism I don't understand. People who have extreme success, like a Michael Jackson, put themselves through all kinds of extreme stress. And sometimes they just cannot handle it. That's why they turn to drugs and alcohol. They can't handle it. Are we surprised that people who work in these aren't even physically demanding industries? Like, compared to a construction worker or stonemason or somebody who, a lumberjack or something like that. These guys were the ones that were hooked on drugs, painkillers and shit. Like, because they were destroying their bodies and not sleeping. They're up all night writing songs and, producing and post-producing and coming up with marketing and all this kind of stuff. They're destroying themselves. And that's what they want. They're that driven. They're that ambitious. Extreme success usually comes at an extreme cost. And if you put that cost upon a child, you're almost guaranteed to break that child. Almost guaranteed. Jazz Jennings. You probably seen that been floating around here for a little while. The trans kid who has a TV show. You know, people think that, and this is where I kind of have to separate myself from a lot of the other anti-woke. People are looking at it like Jazz Jennings is regretting being trans and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, you don't understand. Jazz Jennings has had a camera in front of his face since he was 11. All right? Since he was a child, they've had a camera in his face. His every movement is being recorded. His every conversation is being nitpicked. That's mentally stressful. Out of nowhere, Jazz Jennings gained like 100 pounds or something like that. He's he is the breadwinner for his family since he was a child. He's being destroyed. Before we even talk about the trans stuff, he's being destroyed by the expectations that have been put on him by adults. That's even before we even get to the trans and the hormones and all that shit. Just the basic stress. People are not meant to be recorded all day long. It ain't meant to happen. It's unnatural. It's unnatural for all of your conversations to be recorded. It's unnatural for your every thought to make the newspaper. It's unnatural. It's wrong. And that's before you start talking about all the should he detransition or anything like that. Before you even get into that, just the fact you had an 11-year-old on television for all these years. Every physical change this person goes through is being recorded, documented, and discussed by strangers who don't know them. It's unnatural. It is wrong. No parent should have ever done that to their child. Period. It's wrong. It's wrong. WG Phil, you could tell Jazz wants to detransition, but the image he built up would be attacked. His mother is disgusting. His mother is absolutely disgusting. And it's almost always the mom, you know? Looking for fame and fortune. They destroyed that kid, man. And I'm trying to argue this from a position that even if you believe that Jazz Jennings is a girl now, it's still wrong what's happening. You still shouldn't have a camera in the face of an 11-year-old girl from 6 or 7 years. Your life is not meant to be the Truman Show. Psychologically, it's destructive. It's too much. So before you even start talking about the mental illness that this person has, all the surgeries this person has now gone through, it's disturbing. What are you gonna do? And I just say, man, start the clock when it comes to that Jazz Jennings stuff. Start the clock. I don't want to put it that way, but I don't think Jazz will see 30. Let's put it like that. At this rate, I don't think he'll see 30. As soon as he get away from his parents, either he's going to do what's in his best interest and stop taking all that damn medication or whatever. It might be in his best interest to start taking it now because he's in a position where he's already changed his body. But you never know. And it's going to be a sad, sad day. Because sometimes it's not meant to happen. And I'll say this for people who might be listening and trying to get offended. It might not have anything to do with the trans stuff. It might just be the stress of not having a normal life because you were forced in front of a camera since you were a child. It's wrong. Adults can't handle it. You know damn well children can't handle it. You can't handle it. Can't have friends. You hear about normal people doing normal people shit. You know what I'm saying? Having a birthday party. And everybody there actually likes you. And not just there because you got nice stuff. It's tough. It's tough. And that's how I felt when I saw the Jazz Jennings stuff. I felt awful, you know? And it's not even because this is what you get because you were tranny. It's like, no. It's like, bro, this has been going on for years. At what point do we say enough's enough? Get the camera out of this kid's face. Let this kid go figure out what's going on, you know? He didn't gain so much weight. Just every time you see him, he's either sad or crying. It's not working out. Whatever they doing, it's not working out. Whatever it is, it ain't working. That kid is miserable. But he's been manipulated. He's been groomed. This is what is expected of him at this point. It was the same thing with Britney Spears. You know, she went nutty too. You know, it's sad. And it's not even the trans issue with Britney Spears. She was a sexualized teenage girl. Are we surprised now she's bipolar as hell and was under her daddy's guardianship for years? She was a thirst trap for grown men. Wearing a schoolgirl outfit. Brain broken. Broken. Amanda Bynes, broken. Macaulay Culkin, broken. Kids, they are not meant to. It's too much for adults. It's not meant for kids at all. Leith Elsie, did you see Jason Momoa twerking in Jimmy Kimmel's face? It was so sad. Aquaman is out here gyrating while Albert Heard is crapping in people's beds. Playing the game. You play the game, man. That's really all it is. That's what it is. You can tell these guys wouldn't do this stuff under normal circumstances. They do such weird things to themselves. It's embarrassing. It's a humiliation ritual, you know, from top to bottom. Either you put on a dress, you play the homo, or you play the big fool. You know, that's Chris Hemsworth. And now it seems Jason Momoa is going to go that route. You're going to be the big muscular idiot. Just we need somebody to have muscles here. So you stand right here, you do your muscle stuff, and that's it. We're going to record you being silly, being goofy, or whatever. We need to take off the coolness from you because you can't be cool. Won't allow that. People might actually look up to you. WG Phil says, I feel like it's either detransition or 27 Club. This would kill the Transformer movement. It absolutely would, but, you know, it'll also probably create another martyr because they have a miracle way of changing the narrative. The narrative could become easily Jazz was never accepted, abusive language online, or whatever excuse they can come up with. They'll come up with some kind of excuse if he was to join said club. It'll just be some other online excuse. So it's a sad case because, you know, I can tell you this, if he were to detransition, that would be worse for the movement than if he 27'd himself, you know. If he detransitioned, well, because look what they do to there's people who have transitioned, like Buck Angel, who maintains that, you know, Buck Angel is female, even though just looks male, just maintains that she is female. She looks like a man. Blair White maintains that he is male, just looks female. Those people are not interested. The trans movement is not interested in them at all. Jazz would just join them. The detransitioners are the same people as the biological truthers. They're not interested in hearing from them. That's all. Not trying, fingers in the ears, not trying to hear that. You know, it'd probably be better for the trans movement if he was a 27 himself, because then he could become a martyr. Top Dog. Why do generations act like they didn't help destroy society? Like the younger generations is bad, but the older generations constantly act like they didn't do anything wrong. Because they don't feel like they've done anything wrong. It's that simple. a lot of these, they're so narcissistic. They literally don't feel like they've done anything wrong. They feel like all the money they spent running up the debt, creating, programs that, are that are insolvent now, all of this kind of stuff. They feel like, it was the right thing to do. They invested in their children, and it's awful. Lee Elsie. All right, so we're finally going to get to change subject. Are you going to watch the new TMNT movie? After sitting through 2 Michael Bay movies, I will henceforth only watch the TV shows and read the comics. I'm not even sure I'm going to read the comics anymore. I'm still reading the Last Ronin. Like they're doing out the new Lost Years of the Last Ronin. I'm still reading those. I just finished Batman Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1. I'm gonna get 2 and 3, then watch the movie, and then we're gonna do a digging in on that. I'm still reading TMNT Power Rangers, so I'm really only reading TMNT crossovers. As far as watching the movie, I heard somebody's gonna be gay in the movie, so I'm gonna wait. All right, I'm gonna wait. Something telling me Donatello is gonna be gay, and specifically Donatello. Something tells me they're about to make him gay. If you were here for our conversation a couple of weeks ago when I talked about the nerds, how they like to make the nerds gay or effeminate, something tells me if they're going to make a gay turtle, it's going to be Donatello, because he has no other characteristics other than he likes tech. They're going to make him gay, but we'll see. I'm not saying for sure. I'm just saying I heard they were trying to make one of the characters gay. It could be false. It could be Casey Jones. Who knows? But I'm just saying. I don't trust it. Seth Rogen is making that movie. I don't trust it. Hollywood is making a Turtles movie. I don't trust it. I don't trust it at all. I wanted to get into. I had another two stories before we get into something more fun. The 15 worst black movies, which I saw trending on Twitter. So I do want to talk about that. Let's see. G Coalition has a wrestling question. Bray Wyatt, a supernatural zeitgeist horror character, choosing the Muscle Man dance as his comedy element, was truth in television. Yeah, it seemed like it. Or him trying to be what the company wanted him to be. Kind of like he was mocking what the company wanted him to be. Top Dog. It's just annoying how older generations actually didn't do or watch trash shot or trash shit when they were young. Stuff like Girls Gone Wild exists for a reason. No wonder why young people are so narcissistic. Well, that is true too. The older generations are the one who's tore down the barriers. They're the ones who tore down the barriers. They're the ones who kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and eventually they got through. And now it's degenerate as hell out here in these streets. I'm telling you, I'm just saying that the word on the street is that they're going to turn one of the turtles gay. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm waiting until people see it first, and then we'll have a conversation about it. I'm saying if they were to turn one of the turtles gay, the one more likely than any of them that they will turn gay is Donatello. That's my foresight. If you're going to turn one of the turtles gay, it'll probably be Donnie. And it's unfortunate, but I don't. Michelangelo's the youngest, so he's probably going to be too young to do the sexual thing with. Raphael is too emotional. Leonardo's the leader. They typically don't turn the lead characters gay. It's usually, again, the nerd. It'll probably be Donatello. Unless they make Casey Jones gay, or they make April gay. I heard they were turning somebody gay in that movie. And I'm waiting to see if they do. And I'm pretty sure they will. Because they don't have any gay representation in the movie. So somebody's going to be gay. And Hollywood is not going to let them release a Turtles movie by some Hollywood crew, and not anybody's not going to be gay in it. So somebody's going to be gay. So I don't know who it's going to be. I'm guessing Donatello. That's my guess. And trust me, in about a couple of months, I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. All right. So I don't know if you guys have been watching Trigun Stampede. Like, did anybody watch Trigun Stampede? If you did, then you know that Trigun Stampede is over, and it was only 12 episodes, and they changed a lot. Now, spoiler, just a small spoiler. Actually, just spoilers. Period. If you haven't watched it, I'm guessing that Trigun Stampede was a prequel. It was not about it. It was a remix a little bit. A little bit more of the manga was put into this anime, but the big changes were kind of screwed up. All right. Nicholas D. Woodford is not a Christian in this show. Christianity doesn't even exist in this version of the show. There's not a lot of Rem in this show. They did almost nothing with Legato the Blue Summers or Mid Valley the Horn Freak, who was Legato was a big part of Trigun, the original anime. He's barely in the second one. Zazie the Beast is actually in here far more than was normal. Livio from the manga makes it into this one. There was a trans character in the manga that wasn't in the original one. That's in this one. But I don't think the character is trans though. I think the character is just a female in the Trigun. She was only in it for like one episode though. Also, Nicholas D. Woodford is basically Captain America. He's like he's like a super soldier, and it makes no sense for his gun case to be a cross if he's not a Christian, right? But they openly have him say in the show that he doesn't believe in gods, while everybody else kind of worships knives as a god, which makes sense because we have to explain why they're so dedicated to him. But the entire show is about knives wanting to resurrect the plants, turn them into independents, and massacre all of humanity, which is pretty normal for the knives character. It gets very sci-fi at the end where it lost me because I was like, I don't know what they're trying to do. It's like Knives and Vash they both have to be hooked up to some kind of machine, and they have to drill to the core to wake up the other plants. And if they do that, then all the humans are going to die. And I'm just sitting there like, this shit was a lot simpler in the other one where it ended up in a gunfight between these two guys. They still got the fight at the end, but it was okay. Brilliant Dynamite Neon is not in there, but the Bad Lads gang is. I don't know why you had the Bad Lads. We don't have Neon. Dynamite's Neon. I don't get that. Monev the Gale is in there. Dominique the Cyclops is not. I didn't see Dominic the Cyclops anyway. But this was only supposed to be a prequel to the next one. So I'm guessing there's going to be a part 2 because they teased that Millie is going to be in the second season. Again, I gave you spoilers. They killed the guy, the reporter guy. They killed him. They're still Meryl is still an insurance agent, but they killed the guy, and they're going to replace him with Millie in the second season. And it ended with Vash and his Eric's persona, where he's all wearing tattered clothes and everything, because now he thinks he's killed Knives, and that's sort of the big change is that he didn't actually kill anybody, unlike in the original where he was forced to kill Legato Blue Summers. He didn't actually kill anybody in this one, but he thinks he's killed Knives, and he falls into a deep depression over it. Because he was supposed to be Knives' protector, and Knives, of course, went nuts and killed everybody and all that kind of stuff. But they changed some of the characters dramatically. Some people like the new show. I think it's okay. It's not nearly as good as the original as far as the characters are concerned for me, but it's not bad. there was nothing in it that I felt was truly over the top offensive. But it's kind of stupid that they took Wolfwood's religion. It's like he carries a giant cross. He literally carries a cross. That's for a reason. Like he carries a cross for a reason. But what can you do, man? I think this was made for Amazon or Crunchyroll or somebody like that. One of these organizations that don't like Christians. So I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't have like a flying carpet or some shit. But he's still pretty cool in the show. Like he's not annoying in any way. He's not garbage. He's not like a garbage character or nothing like that. There's a lot of Wolfwood in the show though. A lot of Wolfwood. But they know that everybody liked him. That's why, he's so popular in that show. But I'm probably gonna need to watch it again. Watch it again all the way through. But it is very good though. I think some people are kind of overrating it, but especially since I really like the original, I really have a difficult time with this new one. I have a difficult time accepting the changes that they made. All right, let's talk about Ptolemy Gray. This is going to be the last subject before we go into the 15 worst black movies, which I think is going to end up being pretty fun. Okay, so there's a TV show. It's on Apple Plus called The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. I watched half of it. It's 6 episodes starring Samuel L. Jackson as the lead character, Ptolemy Gray. And it is a great show. It's a show that's right up my alley because it focuses a lot on mental illness. And, people know that I work in a hospital. So Ptolemy Gray is about 90 years old and he has dementia. He can barely remember anything. And he has a caretaker who is his nephew, Reggie. And, without Reggie, he's pretty much useless. And nobody else in the family really cares about him. Reggie makes sure that he eats, makes sure that he's, he takes care of his business, takes him to the bank to make sure he got money and stuff like that. And is looking out for him generally. Now, since I haven't finished the show, I can't spoil it because I haven't finished the show. But the general idea is that Ptolemy Gray is offered an opportunity to have all of his memories returned to him through a sort of experimental trial. That if he takes this medication, it fixes his memory and he'll start to remember things again. He'll get his old personality back and all that kind of stuff. After 2 shots, he will remember every single thing that he has ever known. So this is going to be the crux of the story. The downside to that is once the drug wears off, he can never do it again, and his brain will actually be worse than it was before. So, of course, there's the question of whether he's going to do it or not. But that's not much of a question. It wouldn't be much of a show if he didn't do it. So, spoiler, he takes that opportunity. But then you find out that it's important. Like when he was a kid, he had an uncle named Coy Dog who stole something from some white man. He ended up getting lynched. And he hid it. And now old man Ptolemy Gray can't remember where the treasure is. So he needs his memory to find that treasure that his uncle hid before he got lynched. He also wants to find out what happened to Reggie. So, because Reggie disappears at one point. I'm not going to spoil it. Reggie disappears. And he wants to find out what happens to Reggie. So he has really good reasons to want his memory back. And it's just, the first episode damn near had me crying. And I'm not a crybaby dude. I'm not. But the first episode was so dramatic, I nearly cried. It is an excellent story. It's The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. It is based on a book by Walter Mosley, who is my dad's favorite author. And I tried to get my dad to watch the show, but I don't think he'll sit down and watch it. I should ask him if he's ever read the book, though. I'm not really a big Walter Mosley guy myself, but my dad loves Walter Mosley. It deals with the theme of mental illness in older people. is very important. And it's something that's very underutilized in storytelling because you get all sides of the argument. He's a mentally ill old man living in a house by himself. He's surrounded by trash and filth all day long. The only thing he eats is pork and beans out of a can. His toilet doesn't work. His sink doesn't work. And the only person who comes by to see him is Reggie, and Reggie doesn't clean up anything. He makes sure that he eats. He makes sure that he's got, water and everything. But he doesn't actively like get in there and clean Ptolemy's house or anything like that. He just leaves him in filth. And then you juxtapose Reggie with some of the other people who come in and out of his life. And you see how they take advantage of him. There's people stealing from him, And you see that that's just generational thing. They see grandma's kind of slow on the uptake. She's not as sharp as she used to be. I'm going to take some extra money out of her purse or whatever. It's that same thing. Young people taking advantage of him. Him seeing things and hearing things. And, there's like 2 or 3 times we almost got hit by a car. He's seeing his wife, and other women. And it leads to some really tough situations where he's, touching them or talking to them or whatever. It's weird. Laith Elsie, is Ptolemy Gray easy to find for free online, or did you watch it on Apple TV subscription? Let me tell you this, give you this answer. I don't subscribe to nothing but Peacock, okay? I only subscribe to Peacock, all right? But Apple TV, as far as I know, they had at least 2 shows that's worth watching. The Monster Factory show and this. Both, I would not tell you nothing wrong. I'm a fan of Samuel L. Jackson. I will watch just about anything with him in it. So I'm spoiled on that tip. Like, I'll watch just about anything with Sam Jackson in it. But this show is legitimately good. I tried watching, like, my brother was watching BMF, and I looked at about 10 to 15 minutes of that show. The acting is horrible in BMF. It's awful. Okay? It's not good in Power either, but it's awful in BMF. It's much better actors in the Ptolemy Gray series. And it's a lot of Sam Jackson. Sam Jackson can act. But even some of the people that you might not know, they're still pretty good. At least in their roles. And you really get feeling out of these characters too. So you really feel that people actually cared about these roles as they were playing them. I have never watched half of something and then told people to go watch it. Usually I wait to see how the end plays out. But I've only seen half this show, and I'm telling you, go watch it. If you can find it somewhere for free, go watch it. If you, let's put it like this, I'll put it in the Discord. If how people might be able to watch it for free. How about that? I'll put it in the Discord. So if you go to the Discord, sign up, I'll put a link to where you can get it for free in the Discord. I'm not going to put it on YouTube because, somebody might see this and either delete it or get it deleted. And I don't want to do that. So let's do it behind, not a paywall, but a secure space. How about that? A space where only the people who would be listening to the sound of my voice would even know it's there. Special J says he got a Peacock subscription and still bootleg events. The only reason I have Peacock is because WWE. That's it. Because I want to watch Superstars with no commercials. That's it. I want to watch Superstars with no commercials. Light says, what show is this? It's called The Last Days of Ptolemy Gray. It is on Apple Plus. It's starring Samuel L. Jackson. The show is about 2 years old, I think. A year or 2 old, probably. And it's really good. If you're a person that says, look, I don't know about that, watch the first episode. And if you like the first episode, which you probably should, it'll be good. You ought to really enjoy it. All right, so that was really all I had. He says Peacock has decent shows. I want to watch Miami Vice, but every time I try to watch Miami Vice on Peacock, ended up not working out. You know, it ends up not working out. Okay. Somebody posted online a pretty viral tweet about the 15 worst black movies. And I decided to do a 15 worst black movies. I asked a friend of mine to list hers. I'm going to read hers and I'm going to read mine. The guy who started it, I'll read his too. Just because it'll probably be more fun that way. So the guy who started the viral tweet said the worst black movies of all time. 1, Precious. 2, all Tyler Perry movies. 3, The Color Purple. 4, For Colored Girls. 5, Soul Plane. 6, Belly 2. 7, The Help. 8, Carmen, a Hip Hopera. 9, Baps. 10, The Cookout. 11, Save the Last Dance. 12, Shazam. 13, Big Mama's House 2 and 3. 14, Belly 2. And 15 is All Eyes on Me. No, they have all of Miami Vice on Peacock. See, I haven't seen New Jersey Drive in forever. God, I forgot that movie even existed. They got Belly 2. It's Belly 2, not Belly the first one. Now, my friend posted hers. She says Pootie Tang for number 1, Precious for number 2, For Colored Girls for number 3. Number 4, she put Sugar Hill, but she meant Blue Hill Avenue. Number 5, CB4. Number 6, Soul Plane. Number 7, Booty Call. Number 8, Bones. Number 9, Save the Last Dance. 10, Carmen the Hip Hopera. 11 is Woo. Oh, geez, that was a bad one. 12, Don't Be a Miss in South Central. 13, Brooklyn's Finest. 14, Hot Boys. 15, I Got the Hookup. That's a pretty good list. I've never seen Woo, so I can't say how bad it was. Sometimes a movie is so bad I don't even finish it. Woo was something that looked bad. I didn't even watch it. You know, like I don't really like nigga movies anyway. I'm not even gonna hold you up. Like sometimes I look at a show and I want to see how the characters are going to be, depicted first. And I could tell from some of these movies it's really, really bad. That's one of those movies where I didn't even start it. All right. So my list, I put number 1, Precious. Number 2, Shotas. Number 3, White Girls. Number 4, Blue Hill Avenue. Number 5, I Got the Hookup. Number 6, Queen and Slim. Number 7, Baller Blocking. Number 8, Baps. Number 9, 3, The Hard Way. Number 10, Love and Basketball. Number 11, Poetic Justice. Number 12, Steel. Number 13, Biker Boys. Number 14, Baby Boy. And number 15, Pootie Tang. But I probably should have put there's one that I'm missing. Like it was somebody, Soul Food. Not Soul Food, The Best Man. That movie sucked too. But I don't know what to replace with The Best Man. Okay. I've seen most of these movies. Baps, I didn't finish it. Most of the top 10, I didn't even finish. I'm not even gonna hold you up. I probably looked at them. I did finish Shotas, but I didn't finish Precious. I didn't finish White Girls. I didn't finish I Got the Hookup. I didn't finish Queen and Slim. I didn't finish Baps. I fell asleep on 3 the Hard Way twice. And Love and Basketball, I saw the end, but I don't remember that much of it. Poetic Justice, I hate that movie. Biker Boys is awful. My God, it sucks so bad. And Baby Boy is really bad too. Like I could have put Love Jones, but I'd have felt like it'd have been the same. It's the same thing as Love and Basketball. Love Jones sucks. But I'm not. Maybe it's not Love Jones. I'm thinking of. I wouldn't say Love Jones. It is Jason's Lyric. That one. It sucks so bad. Jason's Lyric is so bad. I'm like, oh hell no. So of course, Mongo wouldn't like loving basketball. Only reason I watched that movie is it's a date movie. That's the only reason I even watched it. It's that bad. White Girls, I only saw it because I went on a date. I don't really like the Wayans brothers. So I saw that and I was like, oof, yikes. Cross dressing. I'm like, no. People don't get it. Like, I don't play with the cross dressing stuff. That alone put it on the list. Just the fact that there was cross dressing put it on the list. But I was already generally didn't like it. I just don't think it was funny. Plus, like when I'm on a date, I'm thinking more about the girl than the movie anyway. I went to the theater to see that bullshit too. Play for my heart. I did see some people come for some movies that I liked. Like somebody said that He Got Game is one of the worst movies. I'm like, bro, nah. Denzel was in that movie for starters. Ray Allen is one of the worst actors of all time. Ray Allen sucked and He Got Game. I will surrender that. And it's not Spike Lee's best movie. But I like He Got Game. I got a soft spot in my heart for He Got Game. It's not that bad. But I really don't like date movies. Like they keep trying to make these black romantic movies and they never seem to do it right. They always make these people seem like the girl is super deep and I'm like, what? I'm like, I don't know about that one, dog. Jason's Lyric frustrated the shit out of me, man. I was like, this is some bullshit. Some bullshit. Light said put the new House Party on the list. I haven't seen it. I didn't hear much about it after it came out, so it must be bad. I tried watching one of those movies. Shit, the Jordan Peele movies. I tried watching one of them. I think it was Us. I tried watching. I didn't finish it, but I didn't think it was one of the worst movies. I just think it sucked. It's just a movie I didn't care about. And I think that's the movie where everybody had a clone somewhere or something like that, or a shadow or something like that. I was like, I don't know about this one, dog. It's like the little girl meets her clone or something like that. So we don't know if the clone died or the girl died. We don't know. I'm like, I don't know nothing about that. I just rolled my eyes at that movie. But a lot of these movies are just kind of clones of each other. I'm surprised she even watched Bones because I never could imagine even watching Bones. Yeah, Special J, go for it. Everybody's feel free to throw in 5 or 10. If you know some off the top of your head, feel free to throw some in there. I like the original Belly. Nas can't act for shit, but I like the original Belly. I like I wasn't even going to entertain Belly 2. I'm not even going to entertain that shit. Why should I? I looked at the cover of it and was just like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. And I didn't want to go into the trash Tubi movies and stuff like that. To me, that seemed unfair and it was too easy. Like everybody's gone through I don't watch Tubi movies anyway, but just about anybody can go into these poorly shot, poorly acted Tubi movies and be like, these movies are all awful. My thing was pick movies that got some play. Like people actually did watch I Got the Hookup because it was a hip hop movie. I watched it and I was like, this is awful. It was awful. Same thing with Baller Block. Like, this movie is awful. Now, Choices, I saw that, but I didn't think Choices was as bad as the other two. I think of those movies, Choices was probably the least offensive. But I also don't really watch a lot of Negro movies. I'm not even going to hold you up. TN Pyro said Us is bad. Man, I watched Soul Plane one time and I never needed to see it again. Like, For me, a funny movie is something that I want to watch more than once. Like Harlem Nights is hilarious. You know, Harlem Nights is a movie I can watch 2-3 times a day. You know, I love Harlem Nights. But Soul Plane, I watched it once a couple of years ago. Somebody on Twitter said Norbit, but they didn't make a list. They just said, you know, put Norbit on the list. Norbit did suck. I was forced to watch that movie, I think, on a I don't want to say on a plane because I only been on a plane once. I think it was on a long ride. I had to watch Norbit. I wish I hadn't watched it. It's not good. You know, it's not a good movie. Um, I didn't really care for those Doctor Dolittle movies too. Mind blown likes terrible hood movies. Then my mom played a news reporter in Choices too. Oh shit. We used to have a patient in the hospital who used to walk around saying that his brother is the one who made a Tubi movie and had everybody looking for this fucking movie. It was just a delusion. The movie it never existed. Like, so people was Googling it and shit because they was like, oh man, he says his brother made a movie. And I'm like, man, you have to realize sometimes these people are delusional, bro. Like, they make up shit. Like, some woman told me, like, somebody stole $450 million from her. I'm like, lady, what? There's no way. You wouldn't be in here if you had access to $450 million. So it's funny when I hear about people in silly hood movies, but I'm always, kind of skeptical because, people are like, I forgot how they could do that, but there's so many of them that pop up. I just be like, I don't know, man. I'm not sitting down watching every Zane like movie. It's like those bullshit books that people write. All of them are like the Zane novels. I don't want to sit down and read all that shit. It's like you have to be able to sit back and realize a lot of this stuff is a carbon copy of something else that's already been out. You know, so a lot of these movies are like the same. You know, that's probably why I don't remember New Jersey Drive that much. It's because I put it in the same bin as South Central and stuff like that. Even though I think it's fundamentally a different movie, but to me it just came out around the same time, and therefore it's basically in the same boat. Special J has got 5. Love Jones is number 1. Number 2 is House Party. House Party 4. Okay. 3 Jordan Peele movies. 4 New Jersey Drive. 5 Who Made the Potato Salad. I've heard about this Who Made the Potato Salad movie, but I've never seen it. I saw the cover with the misspelled potato, and it was just like, you know what? Nah. Nah. Nope. You're not gonna get me to watch that one. No. Not watching that. Who made the potato salad? Bruh. It's goofy from the jump. That's a goofy title. You know? He said Urkel and Pinky is in it. I'm pretty sure, like, the 90s movies jump out more to me than the early 2000s movies because at a certain point, I stopped watching, like, black movies. Not to say that I don't like black movies. It's that at a certain point, I was just kind of like, I'm not watching any more of these movies unless something new comes out of them. Like, I've seen all the slave movies, all the civil rights movies. I'm tired of these movies. I'm tired of all these goofy love movies. I'm tired of all this shit. I want to see something new and something fresh. And that's what made me watch, I think, Us. The first, the Jordan Peele movie, Us. That made me watch it. And I was just like, you know what? I had to back down. I hate how Jordan Peele makes the black man look so weak, especially in Us. Dude was too big to not just rush them clones. I'm telling you, the movie was so slow too, and I don't know, man. WG Phil says the New Edition biopic was the last good thing BET made. I didn't see it. You know, maybe my friend has seen it. She watches all those crazy biopics with like Whitney Houston and shit. She loves watching those things. Like I watched the Temptations, I watched the Jacksons. That's it. The rest of those Bobby Brown movies and stuff like that, I'll watch it with her, but I'm not watching it on my own. I have no interest in those guys. You know, that's one of those things that if you want me to watch, you got to put a girl with me. That's just how most movies are. Queen and Slim was on at the job. That's how I seen it. Because there was some patients who wanted to see it, and I was sitting there, watching it with them, and like this movie is unbearable. This movie is dumb as shit. I was expecting Bonnie and Clyde, but black people. What I got was an essay on feminism. I'm like, oh hell no, this is trash. I don't want to look at this. What the fuck is this? I heard the new Superfly is really bad too, but I didn't watch it. I saw scenes from it, but I didn't watch it. And I figured it wasn't going to be what everybody wanted it to be. I thought it was going to be like an actual remake of Superfly. But it's like some kind of updated version. I was like, oh, hell no. Not a fan. Not interested. Stop putting the name of established brands on stuff. I didn't see the new. I think I did watch the new Shaft movie too. With the son. Yeah, I watched that. I watched the Shaft. I didn't like it, but I watched it. WG Phil says I'd rather watch The Highwaymen for a Bonnie and Clyde movie. I probably need to watch that. Probably need to look that up. I need to look that up. I'm just not interested in watching black people sell drugs anymore. I heard about the BMF TV show, and I was interested at first, and then I was like, I'm kind of tired of the drug dealer movies, drug dealer TV shows and shit. Then I heard Snowfall was at the same time. I'm like, how many times is this gonna happen to 50 Cent, where he put out Power, and then somewhere I think Empire was on at the same time, and then he decided to do BMF, and then they put out Snowfall, and you was like, huh? Like this nigga just is he stealing ideas or what? Natural Born Killers is actually an original spin on Bonnie and Clyde, though. Natural Born Killers is interesting. It's an actually interesting movie. It's psychedelic and kind of fucked up in the head, and I thought it was okay. Natural Born Killers is okay. Didn't hate it. Watch Superfly on the plane because it was free. Would not recommend. That's fucked up when you actually watch a movie for free and didn't want to see it. That's usually how it works for me, though. I get in a spurt where I see something, I want to watch it, therefore I do, and then I'm like, ooh. See, going to the movies is actually out to, again, got to put a girl with me. Or I go with my brother, we go watch like a Marvel movie. Like we might go watch Mario or something like that. Just because we're like big kids. But anything where like some romance or some shit like that, I need a girl with me. Otherwise, I'm not going to be interested. Or I'll watch it at home or something like that on my leisure. I don't need to go to the movies to see Clean and Slim. For what? That's not even a subject that interests me. Y'all like Snowfall? Snowfall. I heard it was supposed to be based off Freeway Ricky Ross, but he wouldn't give them the rights to his name. So they decided to make their own thing. I'm not watching that shit. I ain't gonna hold you up. Didn't even look at it. It's just heard black people selling dope. I was like, no, thank you. All right, we got enough of that stuff on TV already. Like we got enough of that. So, but we need like some. I've been saying for a long time, man. Who's gonna put niggas in space? Like why are we not trying to do that? I really want to be the guy that drags niggas into the future, drags niggas into space. That's why I write. I'm just tired of everything being about civil rights or drug dealing. Oh yeah, Godfather of Harlem. I don't watch that anymore either because I don't understand why a movie is set in the 60s that has rap music in it. I don't understand that either. Plus, they made a Bumpy Johnson movie called Hoodlum. that was actually pretty good. You know, Hoodlum rules. Why do we need to make another TV show on Bumpy Johnson? You know, why is Forrest Whitaker is, you know, not a bad actor, but you know, and yet Giancarlo Esposito is in it. That's a good choice too. I like him, but I'm not about to watch a movie that's set in the 1960s that got rap music in it. Why would Swiss Beats do the soundtrack to a TV show set in the 60s? My brother be watching that shit, man. I can't tell one thing from the other, man. It all got rap music and niggas selling dope and sex in it. It's like, what the hell? Homeboys from Outer Space was a good show. It was not. It had Flex in it. Flex sucks. Flex is one of the worst people of all time. And to be quite honest, if I considered that Michael Jackson movie VH1 made to be a black movie, I'd strangle Flex bitch ass for doing that movie. The producers of Soul Plane probably present Trapping in Space. That might actually be good, you know? Intergalactic Dope Dealers. You done gave me an idea. I'm about to write that down. Intergalactic Dope Dealers. Intergalactic Drug Dealing. Let's do that. Oh, I'm not writing that. You done spoken into existence. Okay. I wrote it down. Boys in the Hood is my favorite black movie. It's pretty good, you know. Boys in the Hood, because it treated the characters with respect, and it actually showed the ups and the downs, and the characters were real people. I felt Boys in the Hood, you know, like I felt South Central. I felt Higher Learning. Higher Learning was a little weird though, because you had a Nazi white boy out of nowhere, which is odd because Michael Rappaport is Jewish, and he played a Nazi in that movie. I'm like, oh, huh? Oh, okay. Special J says Snowfall is deeper than just niggas selling dope. It's showing you how basically the government used crack to fund Contra. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it was about when I heard Freeway Ricky Ross was going to be involved with it, or he was supposed to be involved with it. I figured that's why they want to do it at Iran Contra connection. I just can't bring myself to watch more drug dealing TV shows. Man. I just can't bring myself to do it. There's got to be something special about it in order to get me to watch it again. You know, 50 Cent has blown my mind. Like I stopped watching Power 3 seasons in. You know, I saw the finale because I wanted to see the finale. But I stopped watching Power early, and people thought I was weird because I didn't want to watch that Empire show. I'm like, man, look, y'all don't get it. I'm tired of watching niggas sell dope. I've been watching niggas sell dope my whole life. You know what I'm saying? I've been watching gangbangers and niggas selling dope my whole life. Enough of that, all right? Diversify this shit, please. You know? Plus, like, I read Donald Goines novels and stuff like that, and it's full of pimps and drug dealers and shit. I don't want that, you know. And that, to me, that feels a little bit, that's very entertaining because it's very over the top. Like, Donald Goines wrote a book. One of the niggas used nunchucks in the book. I'm like, what? Nigga using nunchucks? They did. I don't know. I stopped watching Power before Ghost died. How about that? Matter of fact, I heard he died and watched the finale. That's really what got me to watch it. They were like, oh, they killed him? So I had to see how that was going to happen. Special J says it feels like his family's on TV, stories from his family. That's interesting. He said he's from that area. Okay. That's how I felt about BMF, is what made me want to watch it because I'm from the city. I was like, I want to see how they depict Detroit on TV. But then I was like, wait a minute. I don't think I spent a lot of time in Atlanta. So, I don't know. I was like, maybe they do somebody else. I did watch the White Boy Rick movie. I watched some of it. I couldn't get into it. You know, I was just kind of like, I thought it was gonna be like Blow or something like that, and it wasn't. You know, if I want to watch people sell dope, it's gonna be white people. I ain't gonna be no more niggas, man. I'm telling you that now. Tired of watching black dudes sell dope, man. He had other things to do at some point. I like biopics though. We don't make any good ones. We don't make any more good ones. Like there was a time where we did like boxing biopics, like the Roberto Duran movie that came out recently. I thought that was actually okay. I watched that. But they don't make biopics on black people who matter anymore. It's all like sports athletes and shit. They're about to make a Dennis Rodman movie, and that's where Jonathan Majors, to sort of put a dovetail on this thing, he's supposed to be playing Dennis Rodman in the Dennis Rodman movie. Huh? Isn't that weird? So you know what that means? He was gonna wear a wedding dress. Maybe going to jail might smarten him up. He gonna put that dress on anyway. He gonna act the shit out of that role. Trust me. He gonna put that lip ring in and everything. Tattoos and everything. Dennis Rodman movie. They making a movie for Dennis Rodman because he was cross-dressing and bisexual and everything. Yeah, but you know the niggas don't like Dennis Rodman. Dennis Rodman was a Trump supporter who was going over and talking to the Vietnamese leader, North Korea leader, Vietnamese. Where I get that from? They don't like Dennis Rodman, not for real. So you know it's about to be all about the gender bending and all that stuff, right? When he was in the NBA wearing a dress and having sex with Carmen Electra and all that kind of stuff. That's what all it's going to be about. It ain't about to be nothing for real, you know. Dennis Rodman's an interesting case. At least he's an interesting person, though. I have no interest in watching it, but it's an interesting person at least. But I like watching like biopics for like musicians and stuff. At some point, it just became how this musician argued with the label about black people and stuff like that. Baby Boy, I think, is just a poor representation of black maleness. Now, I'm not one of those black dudes that's super sensitive about black maleness. That's why dudes put like Color Purple in there, because they didn't like that there was no positive black males in the book or in the movie. I'm not tripping on that. Even though I think Alice Walker did have problems with black men, I'm not tripping on that. The thing that I trip on is Baby Boy was so embarrassing that I was just kind of like, nah, nah, man. Like, you know, it was just weird. It's just a weird movie, and it puts you in a weird headspace. You know, it's just Baby Boy is like, it's offensive, but I haven't seen it in a long time, and therefore I can't get to the specifics of it. But it's offensive. It sucks. What musician needs a biopic? One that hasn't already had one? That's a good question. Like, who is a musician that hasn't had a biopic that probably should get one? Because they've been pumping them out lately, been making them for just about everybody. It's hard to say who should have one and doesn't. Jay-Z is a good one. Jay-Z is a good, it's a good answer. I think eventually, they probably wouldn't make one while he's alive. He'll have too much control over it. Probably wait till he dies, like they did with Biggie. There was so much wrong with Notorious, I don't know what to do. The same thing with these Tupac movies. They suck. They suck so bad because they're so unrealistic. But Jay-Z is a really good pick in terms of somebody who needs to have a biopic. Yeah, Jay-Z's a good one. But you're not gonna do it while he's alive. They typically wait for him to die anyway. But I'm pretty sure they'll have such a tight Beyonce. If Jay-Z was to just croak tomorrow or something like that, Beyonce would probably have such a tight control over his intellectual property, like his name and everything. I'm pretty sure she'd probably get any movie killed about him anyway. I'm trying to think somebody. Jay-Z is such a good one though. Maybe a Run DMC movie. With the Jam Master Jay getting killed and everything. KRS-One would probably be a good one too, because he used to be homeless and everything like that. Some guys, man, they've been around for a long time, but they're not really. Jay Dilla will be a good movie too. Like, I've been reading the book on Jay Dilla. His movie, it might be a good movie because he had a lot of interesting characters in there. You know, the Soulquarians and the and his relationship with Q-Tip, and all that kind of stuff. It might make a good movie. It's Tyrese has been waiting to play Teddy Pendergrass for a decade. Ooh. He just want to do the tranny scene, that's all. My man's in the sunken place. I feel bad for Tyrese. I like Tyrese now, though. I don't like him as a singer or an actor. But what he's doing, basically, he takes every interview into a filibuster about his wife leaving him as a way of sort of venting and getting that shit out of his system. I support that. Because the only other option is for him to take himself out. That shit destroyed him. It fucked him up. And I feel bad for Tyrese, and nobody wants to hear it. But he takes every interview as an opportunity to now talk about his wife who left him. And I'm like, good. Get it out. Talk about it. And people are trying to clown him for it. And I'm like, nah, it's either that or he's sitting around and drink and smoke himself to death. Nah, man, go ahead and get that off your heart, bro. Special J says, Color Purple is on my top 3. The issue I have is nobody talks about how Mr. was as much of a victim as Celie was. And to be honest, you only seen him really hit her once. He's just very verbally abusive in the movie. And he's trying to rape her sister. Like, he's not a good guy in that movie at all. And then he teaches Harpo to beat women. Even though it was Celie that told him to beat her. It was implied that Mr. was telling him to beat Sophia. When you're looking at the situation from Mr.'s perspective, you are kind of stuck with Celie. You need a homemaker. But Suge Avery ain't no homemaker. She ain't about to sit around here and tend to these kids. So that's why he needed Celie. He was kind of, stuck with her. But I wouldn't say he was just as much a victim as she was. He could have got rid of Celie anytime he wanted to. And she probably would have been happy to leave. But he needed somebody to tend to them kids. He had all them damn kids. DMX is a really good choice. DMX is an excellent choice. I would love a DMX movie. It'll make me mad though, because I'm so close with DMX in terms of being not just one of my favorite rappers, but it's one of my favorite people. How flawed he was. I would be really pissed if they gave a shit actor the DMX role and he went in there and ruined it. It's not a slave movie. I can tell you that. Color Purple is not a slave movie. It is along the lines of Waiting to Exhale, How Stella Got Her Groove Back, one of those black feminist films. It was written by Alice Walker, who was a black feminist who was dating a white man, married a white man, by the way, and was having problems with black men when she wrote that book, rather. And Steven Spielberg just picked it up and he dropped the lesbian part. Where in the book, Celie and Suge Avery are just straight up lesbians. They have a regular lesbian relationship. And he dropped it from the movie and they just left with just a kiss. And Celie becoming obsessed with Suge Avery after that. But in the book, they had like a regular lesbian relationship where they were sneaking around behind Mister's back. It's disgusting. It's sick. Sad. What's up, Eric Mack? How his dad would manipulate him and was the one who encouraged him to beat Celie. Well, it was his dad was challenging his masculinity. Remember when they was piling the hay, and Mister was talking about how Sophia don't do anything and all this kind of stuff. It was and Harpo kept trying to make an excuse for why Sophia couldn't do anything or why Sophia don't listen to him and all this kind of shit. They got over it. They certainly did get over it. A lot of people got over it. But it was weird. It was weird that Mister was doing that. Ike says, wait, Eric Max said, you thought that Suge Avery and Celie was about Gail and Oprah? Why the hell would you think that? That was weird. Why would you think that? Did you watch Wu-Tang American Saga? No, I watched the docuseries on the Wu-Tang though. They I forget who put it out. I think it might have been Showtime. Like watching that watching Ghostface argue with Divine was fucking hilarious. I'm gonna try to find that again and watch it again because I want to take notes and do an episode, a Sunday episode on that because that was about the music business and how those dudes were in the music business, didn't know shit about the music business. Ghost was 100% wrong. He just didn't know that. He didn't understand it. Special J said he was doing what his dad was doing to him. Remember the table scene where his dad was saying he wouldn't let a woman talk to him like that. He said, "Well, correct." And that was the whole thing. Harpo, he was the boy. He's expected to be a man, but he's expected to be the man his daddy was. And it was the same thing that was happening to Mister. Exactly what you said. It was generational. Mister's daddy was putting pressure on him, and he was putting pressure on Harpo. That goes to show, though, what Alice Walker was trying to do in that movie was talk about generations of black men being abusive and unfairly treating women, et cetera, et cetera. There was no positive black male character in that movie. The guy who married Suge Avery basically was laughing about Mister having sex with her and how he had her first and all this bullshit, and they was crushing eggs over each other's face, and it was all stupid. It was stupid as hell, But Suge Avery was supposed to represent sort of a free woman. She was a whore. She did whatever she wanted. She worked at the juke joints. She was very expressive. She slept with whoever she wanted. She didn't let Mister control her. She was doing her thing. Then she came back to Mister's house with her husband and was living in his house with her husband. What the fuck? So basically, Suge Avery did to Mister what Mister did to Celie. She was verbally abusive to him. She was a drunk. She acted stupid to him. He forgave her. He overlooked it. Just like, Celie was overlooking, what Mister was doing. The difference was Mister had ambitions to win Suge Avery over. He thought that if he just, simped for her harder, if I simp harder, she'll like me. She just resented him even more because in simping for Suge Avery, he treated Celie so bad, and it's awful. It's an awful, awful, ugly story, but I typically do like it. Their Eyes Were Watching God, which was written by Zora Neale Hurston. I think there's probably one positive male character in that entire book. I told you I went to college. I got stuck with an African American literature teacher who was a feminist and a pregnant one at that. So she was all hormonal, and she was trying to get us to read fucking James. Everything was either gay or woman. James Baldwin stories all fucking day, and Zora Neale Hurston. That's really all we read was James Baldwin and Zora Neale Hurston. That was it. And I was just like, oh shit. Like, wow, it was bad. I think we read like one Ralph Ellison story. Like I'm still a big fan of Invisible Man as a story. I loved it. I thought it was a great book. It was my favorite book for a long time. Ralph Ellison's Invisible Man. But Fire where it says Fire in the Mountain or whatever the fuck. that James Baldwin book she made me read, Go Tell It on the Mountain or whatever the fuck it's called. Fire Next Time. Not Fire Next Time. Go Tell It on the Mountain with the gay kid that was obsessed with his youth pastor or something like that. I'm like, man, why am I reading this shit? You know, why am I reading this shit? That's why I'm surprised there hasn't been more James Baldwin stories turned into movies because it fits the shit that they want to put out there. You know, it's all gay love stories. I didn't peep that Alice Walker was a feminist until recently, maybe within the last 5 or 10 years. Because I read the book, and it was similar to Their Eyes Were Watching God for me, where I was kind of like, oh, interesting, and I put it to the shelf. It didn't offend me like Song of Solomon. Song of Solomon pissed me off, you know, and I would never read anything that's going to really make me mad, like Waiting to Exhale or something like that. That just pissed me off. So I was just like, why would I read that? But reading The Color Purple, I was so conditioned to the movie that the book didn't bother me that much, but the book was worse. The book was worse. But I was like, it didn't bother me that much. The Eyes of Watching God, I had to read it for class, and I was being young and impressionable, and I was just kind of like, okay, I'll read it. I'll give it a chance. And I still don't think it's that bad. But there are no positive male characters in that book either. The book that pissed me off was, oh shit, I keep forgetting what it's called. I had to read it for class. Olivia Butler, Octavia Butler. It was Octavia Butler. It was a movie where it was a book where she wrote a 10-year-old girl with like psychic powers or some shit like that, and she was having sex with like an older boy, an older man, like 40-year-old man. It was really strange. Where it was like a real young girl who's having sex with an old guy. What the fuck is that book called? It's real offensive. It's subversive as shit. But it was written by Octavia Butler. I can't remember what the name of the book is. I'm about to Google it real quick. The Big Chair. No, it's not The Big Chair. Oh, I didn't know she died. She died in 2006. Let's see. Selected works. It's called Parable of the Sower. Yeah, that's what it's called. Parable of the Sower. It's awful. That book is the book that made me fail that class. Well, I didn't fail the class. I passed it. But I wanted to fail. I wanted to fail that class so badly as we were sitting there reading Parable of the Sower. It was so awful. It was so offensive. And I'm like, this is gross as shit. You're sitting here reading about a 10-year-old girl having sex with a grown man. I don't want to read this. It's not good. But I'm telling you, it was all about introducing people to female authors, and if you like to read, you probably never read a female author. Like James Baldwin was not a fucking female, but then again, I didn't know how gay he was at the time. I knew he was gay. I didn't know how gay he was. Then I realized he was like really flaming over the top gay. I'm like, at least mix this shit up. Like, pick one of these female authors. Zora Neale Hurston is perfectly fine. I like Zora Neale Hurston. She doesn't hate men. She writes men okay. Okay, fine. We'll pick Zora Neale Hurston to represent the women. James Baldwin represents the men. Maybe Ralph Ellison represents the other, well, the gays, I should say, with James Baldwin. And somebody represents the men like Walter Mosley or Donald Goins or something like that. But no, it was just like women, James Baldwin. Women, James Baldwin. I was like, oh God. I think Ralph Ellison was gay too, if I had to think about it. But I know Langston Hughes was also gay, and we talked about poetry in that class too. It was a mess. They didn't give us no chance. You had no chance in hell to walk out of that class unbrainwashed with feminist messaging. All right, it's 10:15, y'all. I gotta use the bathroom really, really bad. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. We're gonna have some videos up. And I want y'all to relax. Hopefully y'all had fun. Peace out, y'all.